With a long early access period, Baldur's Gate 3 had a lot of cut content, which is now restored in Baldur's Gate 3 thanks to MaxStrengthWizard and the Ultimate Cut Content Restoration mod. This brings back a ton of different equipment like darts, as you can see right here, as well as items, feats, and much more. Some of my favorite items in Baldur's Gate 3 are ones that they ended up cutting, and this is amazing because now you're actually able to use them, and it puts it into the world in a place that makes a lot of sense. This mod's currently only on Nexus Mods. They're working on making a whole other port for Mod.io, but there's also an additional mod if you want to check out all of the items because they add a special second mod that gives it all into the tutorial chest. This also includes items that were cut from the game, including my favorite, the Potion of Fire Breathing bonus action that lets you do a little cone of fire damage. Now, the reason I wanted to cover this is because I've seen about 10 different posts on Facebook, including one article that was clearly wrote by AI calling this something that Larian did, and there's been a lot of confusion. I even got some comments on my videos, and I want to clarify that this mod was made entirely by MaxStrengthWizard, and this would have taken a lot of time and effort to put all of this together. And if you go through the mod page here, they actually listed out every single item that got added, like the Arcane Absorption Dagger, and it'll link it to the Baldur's Gate 3's wiki page where it covers it. This is a really cool dagger that does force damage. There are also three optional files here that'll add the class race add-ons, which you don't need the main file for, and there's also one for feats, and then the tutorial chest. With their class abilities, bringing back the Know Your Enemy, which is something the Battlemaster fighter used to get, which gives them advantage on attack rolls against a target for 10 rounds. This was cut because in normal D&D, it just lets you see the target's health points, armor class, or ability scores, which you can naturally do in Baldur's Gate 3. There's also a healer feat, which allows you to do a heal once per long rest. The Inspiring Leader, which allows you to give an area of effect temporary health points to your team based off of your charisma modifier. And then the Observant, which gives +1 intelligence or wisdom, and then a +5 to investigation and perception. But honestly, being able to get things like this here, the Oathbreaker Knight's armor set, and have it actually be in the game is super cool. As I mentioned previously, this entire mod adds the loot tables into the game, so you can find these naturally, you can purchase some of them from merchants, and it changes the game entirely by just adding a lot of these amazing items back in. So I'll go over some of the items here, like you get the Headband of Intellect here, which adds your intelligence or sends your intelligence modifier to 19. Intelligence score. So it's a bit different than the one that you get in the base game that sets it to 17 here. There's also the Helm of the Arcane Gate here, which is pretty cool because, yeah, this helmet isn't in the game, but it would have been nice to have some helmets, despite having the little silly things on it. It's just nice to have more options. And obviously the Night Song's helmet being one of the most popular. There are other mods that can get this in it, but a lot of them have a bunch of effects, and this just keeps it a Constitution saving throw +1, which is nice, but doesn't feel overpowered. And one of the funniest items, the Hat of Uproarious Laughter. When knocked prone, hostile creatures with an intelligence score of 5 or more within 9 meters of you must succeed at a wisdom saving throw or become stricken with laughter. So yeah, falling over is funny. There's new cloaks like Mint's Cape, which doesn't really do anything, but a personal favorite here, the Brain Drain Cape. Whenever the wearer succeeds a saving throw against a foe's spell or actions, that foe gets mental fatigue, which gives negatives to the mental attack stats, meaning you're more likely to be able to land your control spells later on. There's also the Phasmid Cloak here giving you Shapeshift. Cloaks kind of didn't have a whole lot of options in the base game, so it's nice to have a few more. And there's actually a lot of cut armor. Githyanki Halfplate, some of them unfortunately have clipping issues, just the nature of wearing underwear and certain things on them. But yeah, there's a lot of different options here that I think look amazing because they just weren't utilized. And yeah, the Githyanki armors I think are some of the coolest looking in the game, despite being so common. I think people don't really think that they look that great, but it's cool to see some different flavors of it. There's also a bunch of Druidic armor here, and the very popular Dreamwalker plate there, which is what your character would wear, the Dream Guardian that you'd make. There's also the Night Song's armor as well here, which this is one of the coolest looking sets in the game. It's so nice to actually have this. And the stats are just 19 armor class, 1 less piercing damage. There's a really good transmog mod on PC, which makes this so much better if you want to keep the appearances and maybe add different stats to it. There's Saravok's Wretched Armor here, which gives -2 to all incoming damage. And also when you deal necrotic damage, you get temporary health. And if someone melee attacks you, you do a area of effect 1d6 piercing damage. Kind of cool stuff, and the armor itself looks really nice. Now, the Pale Widow Gloves actually gives me some Spider-Man type vibes from the description of it, but basically it gives you the Ensnaring Strands, Pulling Web, and Web spells here, and they're a wrist device. So yeah, I feel like this is someone cosplaying as Spider-Man in Faerun, or Driderman. What's funny is I actually grabbed the passive from the Gloves of Fire Resistance for my Winter Spirit Bard subclass, because when you get 50% health points or less, they get fire resistance, and that's how I got the Ember Ending Encore for that class. I also think this one's really cool. The Gloves of Flint and Steel. Whenever you deal fire damage, the target must do a con save or they get burning. This is cool because burning and fire just kind of sucks in Baldur's Gate. There's also the Gargoyle Boots here, which gives you a spell which gives you resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, similar to Stone Skin. There's a few different boots that I think are kind of fun to use. Actually, really sad a lot of the Wave Mother stuff got cut in the game, and it's obviously very late in the game. They were intending probably to use this a lot more, but having the Wave Mother's boots, which heal you at the start of your turn if you stand in water, really cool. Now, Amulets actually have some really fun cut ones. The Ilmater's Aid here. Non-cantrip spells will deal an additional 1d4 force damage when the wearer drops below half their max health. There's also the Dauntless Amulet, which makes it so you can't be frightened or affected by other emotion-altering conditions. +1 to intelligence saves. This would be nice on like a barbarian, because calm emotions sucks. And I actually meant to talk about this item at the very start of the video. The Scarab of Protection gives you advantage on saving throws against spells. This would be a contender for one of the best items in the Amulet slot, because that's pretty absurd. And when you fail a saving throw against necromancy spells or spells cast by the undead, you can use your reactions to succeed them instead. Very great defensive necklace. I'm curious where this would have been in the game. It does have some little flavor text down at the bottom there. Pretty interesting stuff. There's also the Lofty Sorcerer's Amulet. I love playing a sorcerer and can't get enough sorcery points. One more, yippee, love that. I also do like this one here, giving you Mind Hacks. This is a cantrip bonus action that does 1d10 of psychic damage and then heals you from that. And it gives you temporary health points. Very cool. And the Amulet of Provocation. This would have been really nice because tanking in Baldur's Gate 3 is extremely hard. And that's something that's sometimes fun. This gives us a full action here. Blast nearby enemies, goading them into attacking you for 2 turns. Wisdom save. This would have been very good at the near the startish of the game whenever there's not really that much aggro control. Because yeah, this is great. It's the same goad that the Beastmaster Ranger's Bear would have, which just makes the enemies more likely. They don't always do that, but it gives them more chance to attack you. Ring ring hello. Ring of Fire, +1 fire damage. Again, fire got kind of shafted in Baldur's Gate 3, so it's nice to see any type of item. This one gives you the Ring Charm Person. I really like this one. The Sparking Promise gives Ensnaring Shock. Lightning Charge is another thing that feels a little half-baked, and this gives you, whenever you have Lightning Charge, you can consume 4 of them to mark a foe, and when the target moves, create an electrical blast within a 2-meter radius that deals 1 to 4 lightning damage for 4 turns. Honestly, kind of a cool use, and this would have been nice in the early game as well. Absolute Smite Ring, giving a Searing Smite, kind of an interesting one. This one's the Hag's Ring, giving Vicious Mockery, +2 to Perception, Invisibility, like a lot of things here that I would have been just nice to have. When you deal lightning, deal an additional 2 lightning damage. Could have been interesting for lightning builds. Kind of cold, I think, in Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the best just because surfaces are so good, but yeah, a lot of these here just benefit some of the things that are not as powerful. Now, weapons are really weird. There's a lot. One cool thing is there's a lot of +2 weapons in the game that are only accessible in that final fight when you're going against the aberrations that are matching whatever your party is. That is frustrating because they have some of the coolest looking designs in the game. Also, he restored a lot of these items here. Like this is if you play the Fire Myrmidon, they get this fiery sword, which is normally in the game. You can kind of cheese and get it. Like there's a lot of ways to get these by just opening up the inventory really quickly and spamming it. But yeah, I gotta say this weapon looks really cool. And yeah, big fan of anything that adds these weapons here. And also I really like Elandra's Whelm here because this comes with the special Frigid Blade. I use this icon. This is a really cool icon. I know there's one similar for the Searing Blood, but dealing additional cold damage equal to your proficiency bonus and applying Frostbite, which makes the target take cold damage when they do attacks. Frostbite isn't even in the game, so it's nice, sorry Jahair, to have some of these abilities here that are fun and different. So there's the Frostbitten condition, and she'll take a 1d4 of cold damage when attacking with a weapon. I really like the Impaler here, Mesmer the Impaler. Whenever you attack someone with their full health, they take an additional 1d10, and if you take them out, you then get a 2d10 of healing as temporary health, +2 enhancement, and it has a special ability here with the Blood Render, dealing additional damage, and you gain Blood Render, which deals more damage at the cost of some of your health, and the sound effects for it are really cool. Now, there's actually a lot of different abilities here. The Flail Vortex is really strong because this can potentially stun a target, and stun takes them out of combat for 2 turns, which is just nuts. There's also things like the Twisted Oak Crook here. A lot of weapons that honestly are fun to play around with because they feel so natural to Baldur's Gate 3. The Render of Scrumptious Flesh, which has the flesh. Now, actually, one of the coolest weapons here is the Flail of Dread Skulls. So the target must do a Wisdom saving throw or be stuck with Yunugu's Curse. Depending on the dice roll, they'll receive one of the following: madness, 2d6 of psychic damage, or become paralyzed. There's not a lot of like flails that I feel like are offensive, and this is one that's actually kind of cool. You're rolling the dice with it. As mentioned earlier, Arcane Absorption Dagger, really cool. When you kill an enemy, you get a level 1 spell slot. Much better than the one that we got in the game, and it does force damage. I love Near Misser, the hand crossbow, because it deals a different damage type. It's just fun in this game. Also, here's some of the items that we got that, again, you can get some of these items. Some of them are cut, and yeah, they're only available at the very end battle of the game, so you're not going to be using them because they're worse than what you naturally get. This adds them back into the loot table. I really like the glowing blue aesthetic. Like, that's a war pick there. There was many cool war picks in the game. And honestly, my favorite, and I think a lot of people's, will be the darts and slings. These are items that are actually in the game, and they were actually supposed to be in the game. They're things that are from D&D. And I gotta say, throwing something like this is the +2 version of it, again, looks so cool. So just gonna go ahead there. I love the animations that they got going on. You actually throw it like a champ. And if you're using a sling, you hold it out like that. And then you actually have it in your hand like that when you're going to use the sling. It's so well done. And yeah, there's just an example of it happening in real time. So honestly, this is such a fun mod, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you're on PC. Also, it actually adds some of the icons that are in the game to items, like the fabricated arbalest. I always have this one on Minsk, if you know my build videos. And yeah, this has a whole new appearance for it. There's some other items too that got these new appearances, like the light and heavy crossbows there. And I do want to mention, while this is the most like complete cut content restoration mod, there's still stuff that they are working on, because this is a massive project. I want to acknowledge that. And there's some items that just don't make sense because there's already a version in Baldur's Gate 3 with a slightly different name that is the exact same item. And if you really want the Scythe of Merkel, there's actually other mods that resize these and you can use them. They're pretty good. Also, shouts out to Kobold Juno and Magnet Tuning here for helping out. They're both incredible modders. And again, shout out to MaxStrengthWizard for putting this incredible mod together. Remember the Grand Wizards of Way, love that. And they have a bunch of mods that are on Nexus and some on Modio. And I do want to mention too, for those that watch that like console content on my channel, they have to recreate this entire mod in Modio through the toolkit for Modio. So it will take some time before they're able to complete that and then send it forward to Larian for testing. And that's not something that they can guarantee, especially with a mod of this scale. But I do think Larian will like a mod like this. They tend to get these very high quality mods done, but he's wanting to do some bug testing first. So I just want to put that out there. But honestly, love seeing stuff like this in the game, and very well done mods. So yeah, check this out, go give it a download and endorse it. And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think this mod is fantastic, and we'll catch y'all in the next video.